Great. So greetings, Ajahn. Greetings, everyone from all around the world. We're really delighted to have Ajahn Chandapalo, the abbot of the Italian monastery, here with us. And Ajahn has always been doing teachings in Italian. So it's really a rare occasion that we can welcome him to share with us a discourse in English. So before we begin, let us all put our palms in Anjali and then pay respects to him with 3 bows, please. First bow. Second bow. Third bow. We shall begin the session with Ajahn leading us in a short guided meditation. Ajahn, if you may, please.
Yes, certainly. So I hope I haven't forgotten too much of my English. I've been here more than 30 years now. So first of all, I'd like to invite you to sit comfortably, but not too comfortably, otherwise you might fall asleep. So if it's possible to compose yourselves with the spine reasonably upright, the shoulders relaxed, and the head well balanced. Maybe you can begin just by asking yourselves, how am I feeling right now? Physically, mentally, emotionally, not to try and describe with words, but just to receive into awareness the felt experience of the present moment. And that can help us to connect to the heart level, to be more centered in the chest rather than being up in the head and all the thinking habits. And then relaxing, opening, and receiving the body as it's felt here and now into awareness, and with a kindly, non-judgmental attitude. There's a sense of the form of the body, its extension in space, its solidity, its earth quality, its weight. A feeling of warmth, of energy. Any particular sensations you might be feeling right now, especially due to pressure of the body in the chair, the touch of the clothing area, the air on the exposed areas of the skin. And then however the breath is being experienced as specific sensations or as movement in the body, or flow of energy. And then abiding in a sense of the body as a whole, and bringing together in one field of awareness the physical presence as it's being experienced here and now, being gently centered in the heart area, a sense of the verticality of the position, and the whole body as it is here and now in this moment. It can be useful to pay a particular attention to the breathing process, noticing the beginning of the in-breath and then the end of the in-breath, and the same with the out-breath, to develop a continuity of attention in the moment. not trying to obtain some special level of consciousness, just this quality of relaxed attention that one can apply here and now to the way things are. Attention means being connected, being fully present to the physical formation as a main reference point, and then without grasping, holding on to in an open, easeful way. Relaxing into this natural awareness of one breath at a time, one moment at a time, uh, staying alert and giving one's full attention to the experience of here and now with the breathing body as the main reference, and not trying to focus intensely to exclude everything else, but to make it the main reference so that other phenomena might come into consciousness, such as noises, sensations, memories, thoughts, and one can just let them be, let them pass without having to get involved with them, maintaining this connection to the breathing body in this open field of awareness. And then these things don't disturb us. We can be at peace with them. and gradually we develop a sense of calm and clarity, of undivided attention, sustained in a moment. And then we can begin to not remain fixed only to the breath, but to open to the experience in a more open and inclusive way, a non-selective awareness. Whatever arises can be observed as it is, without holding on to it, without trying to get rid of it, witnessing to the changing nature of all phenomena. Whatever arises in consciousness has the same nature to arise and to cease. And so we can be at peace with this flow of conscious experience here and now as it is, taking refuge in the knowing of the moment. And whenever you like, you're welcome to open your eyes.
Greetings, everyone. We now formally request The Dhamma talk from Thanaja. Kolkata. Brahma Jaloka Pipati Sahampati Kata Jaliya Iwara Ayachata Santi Tasata Araja Kajatika Ese Tudama Anukampi Mampaja.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang dhammang sanghang namasami. Well, I realize this is the last talk in a long series over 3 months of many Ajahns. And so you will have heard, at least some of you will have heard many talks. And of course, when we talk about Dhamma, we talk in our own expression of it. We try and explain according to our own understanding and experience. Otherwise, just to recite what it says in the scriptures wouldn't be of much use, because one can read the suttas and learn quite a lot from them, but sometimes it's like they're skeletons. You know, there's a basic outline of something. You can see there's something there, but it's a bit difficult to see what it really looks like, how it moves, how it works. So by trying to talk about the Dhamma in our own articulation of it, according to what we've experienced and what we've come to understand through our practice, helps to kind of bring it alive. And so that's what's helpful generally. But then hopefully hearing too many talks from so many different teachers, hopefully it hasn't caused any confusion. And you know, really, of course, the Buddha's teaching is just pointing to look for ourselves, to pay attention for ourselves. It's an invitation to awakening. So we have to try and apply it and make it work for ourselves, and not just to try and sort it all out in our heads, have all our doubts resolved and everything put in order and clarified just according to our intellect. And you know, sometimes people they get too caught up in trying to understand it on that level, and sometimes miss the real essence of the teaching. I remember knowing an English monk a long time ago who had ordained in Sri Lanka, and he told me that he'd read all the suttas 3 times, and he still didn't understand what the Buddha was teaching. And I knew a professor in an English university who used to bring students to the monastery. More than 30 years ago, I was staying in the Devon Vihara, and he was a teacher in the religious studies department with a specialized in Buddhism, and he'd written a very well received book on Mahayana Buddhism. It was used at the university level. And apparently he'd been a practicing Buddhist for 20 years. And I remember him bringing students to the monastery and being a very nice person and a good feeling about him. But then some time ago, I came across a book that he'd written entitled The Unexpected Way, because he'd converted to Catholicism. And the title was because he said so many Christians become Buddhists, but it's quite rare for it happen to in the opposite direction. And so I was interested to read this book because, of course, I live just outside Rome, near the heart of Catholicism. That sometimes I teach meditation just a few hundred meters away from from St. Peter's Square, and there's a lot of interest in Buddhism here. And in this book, he described it as a teenager, he was a very devout Christian, but then as he began to think on his own, and there were many things that he couldn't find answers to. So he had so many doubts. And so it didn't really work for him anymore. And then he discovered Buddhism, which he appreciated it because it was all reasonable and it seemed practical. And he even took refuge with the Dalai Lama and considered himself a Buddhist. But he does say in this book that his few attempts at meditation were a disaster. So it was really only a very kind of cerebral approach, and he had enough understanding to be able to write a book about it. But then he said that he had this philosophical curiosity. He was always wanting to know why. So when the Buddhists say, this is the way things are, it's like this, he would want to know why. Why is it like that? So he was always caught up in this questioning, doubting, and he would ask himself these philosophical questions. Why is there something rather than nothing? And then one day the answer came to him, which he expressed as necessary being, as God. And then his heart somehow opened, and he felt this sense of well-being, of wonder. And then in the university, he knew these these professors of theology, and they were very friendly towards him. So, I realized that it was his approach to Buddhism was just very, very much cerebral, just to do with the intellect, and it hadn't reached his heart. His heart wasn't really in it. And it's funny because he says at one point that he saw Christianity as being like the religion of the donut. You know, the donut, the American donut, like a ring. And he said Buddhism was like the religion of the hole in the donut, because Christianity offers hope. Whereas in Buddhism, everything's empty. But really, he missed the point, and so just the Four Noble Truths, yes, there is suffering, but there's a way out of suffering. There's a path that leads to freedom from suffering. And you don't need to be much of an expert in Buddhism to have already understood this at some level. And there were a few other things that he said that he was clear that he hadn't really understood. So that was interesting. And so the importance not just of meditation practice, but of also integrating into everyday life, and to be able to use these teachings, these tools to inform one's own practice, rather than having somebody tell us what to do all the time, or resolve our doubts or answer our questions. But at some point we need to become kind of independent, and to be able to develop our own practice, to resolve our own doubts, overcome our own difficulties. So that's an important stage in the practice. And now it comes to mind that you've had this very wonderful few months, kind of a wealth of teachings, and now you're more on your own. I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of other opportunities for listening to teachers now with the internet and so forth. But also it's good to develop some autonomy in practice, and still have the opportunity, where if one feels really stuck, to ask somebody, to seek out help. And so meditation, I think you all understand that it's useful, if possible, to dedicate some time every day to formal practice. It doesn't have to be a really long time, and don't worry too much about how concentrated you are. It seems to me that most people think that their concentration isn't really up to scratch, and that they don't really know enough about the teaching, because, of course, if you study, there's all these different lists, and there's a real wealth of teachings now. The Buddha taught for 45 years, and after his enlightenment, and there are all these books that recount his teachings, and questions and answers, and so forth. So it's good to have a kind of a sense of orientation that is based on something which is fairly simple, that one can remember, and you don't have to all the time be trying to remember all these lists and figure everything out in your head and remember everything on that level. And or what I encourage people for meditation practice is to, if possible, identify a certain time in the day. Perhaps when you get up in the morning, for example, it can be a good time when you're fresh, the mind is relaxed, before everybody else gets up and starts to make a noise and demand our attention. And even if you don't really feel like it, you're tired, or you're upset, or all kinds of different things have happened, you're worried about something, you can still say to yourself, well, at least I can sit on the cushion, or in the chair that one uses for meditation. and then just relax. Come into your heart, noticing how you're feeling, and connecting to the present. Just taking a moment to examine the conscious experience of the moment as it is, with this kindly, non-judgmental awareness, and then mindfully take an in-breath and an out-breath, and so forth, like one little step at a time, without this strong determination to sit for an hour or something like that, because otherwise we can easily find ourselves just pushing and just uh, trying to sit still for a certain amount of time. But in our minds, we're just keeping wondering how much time is left, and wondering if I can do it. And so it becomes a kind of just sets up an inner struggle. But if you take it just one moment at a time, and this is what I found useful when I was practicing as a layman, and was doing a busy master's degree, busy student life, and with that approach, one can it's something that is doable. And even if you only spend a few minutes, you can already feel the benefit, and it can help you start the day in a way that is calm and collected, and can have a good effect on the rest of the day. And then sometimes, the impulse arises to get up and do something else, and you can say, no, it's better not to follow the first impulse. I'll just let go, relax, and then notice that there's again a sense of ease. That impulse is no longer there, and you can proceed like that for some time, and then at a certain point, okay, that's enough. And so it's not how much time you dedicate sitting still, but the quality of your attention. And then also maybe in the evening before you go to bed, even if it's just for a moment of collecting, calming, just noticing what you're carrying from what remains from the day's activities, and being able to let things go. And it can help to rest more deeply, and then during the day there are moments where there's nothing calling our attention, and we're just waiting for something, and you can just take a moment to come home to the awareness of the here and now, and then gradually develop this awareness that accompanies us through the day in all these different moments in our activities, when we're at work, when we're relating to people. Our spiritual practice is not something that's separate from our everyday lives, but can be brought into the every day, from when we wake up in the morning until we fall asleep at night. And this way, I personally find like I described at the beginning of the meditation practice, of being centered in the heart, in the feeling realm. I'm more connected. It's what's being experienced here and now, rather than being in the head, the mental habits, the thought processes, which can go on and on and on, and can be completely disconnected from the reality of the present moment. And then from being connected to the body as a foundation for awareness, that can include what is being felt, what is being experienced, and then one can abide in an inclusive awareness. So whatever one is doing, there's a sense of the context, the situation as it is. What is the purpose? What is one doing? Who is there? And then possible emotional reactions that we might have. And this can all be included in this big picture. And from this we can more readily discern how to respond to the needs of the moment. This intuitive intelligence can operate from the awareness, this open, inclusive awareness, and then we can live life fully in a way of paying undivided attention and in a more peaceful and collected way. And like these simple there are these very simple teachings of the Buddha to remember that can give us a sense of direction, of like when he said refrain from doing harm, to do good, purify the mind. This is the teachings of all the Buddhas. So we have a moral compass, which is also a tool for integrating awareness into everyday life, especially when we're active, we're relating to people, knowing our intention, because that is the all-important factor. And so it's also a protection. It's protects ourselves from the consequences of unwholesome speech and action, and offers protection to others from our possible unwholesome speech and action. And this can be like a treasure that we're developing. Many people ask me how to approach death, how to be prepared for the end of life. And this is certainly one aspect, is how we live here and now. If we have freedom from remorse, that is a wonderful thing. It brings us an inner peace and freedom from fear. And then doing good, being considerate, and not just living for one's own desires and preferences, but taking into consideration other people and family, associates, and so forth, and being able to ready to respond with generosity, with kindness, in little ways, modest ways. It's not like we have to take on ambitious projects to resolve all the problems in the world. If we have that capacity, and then that's great. But most of us, we don't really have much power to change things. But just in our own everyday relationships with people, to develop awareness around that, to be careful, attentive, and to be able to respond with generosity when there's the the occasion, something that we can give, some way of helping, of kindly gestures, or just being patient and willing to listen to somebody compassionately without judging, being patient and so forth. And this brings us a lot of joy and peace of mind of these things we remember, and it brings a sense of connection. Our sense of self is one that is relational and not just me as a completely separate being, thinking of what I want or trying to satisfy my own desires and attached to my own opinions and preferences, which creates a strong sense of separation and reinforces this self-identity. And so that is a wonderful foundation for a life well lived, and a basis for developing presence of awareness, investigation, and purifying the heart. It's not about just trying to get rid of anything that we consider impure in ourselves, but it's developing this awareness of self-knowledge, of noticing when one or other of these so-called mental pollutions are present. The three roots of evil, the fires of greed, hatred, delusion, and their variety of expressions. We can be aware of them because they're not what we really are. They're just visitors. They arise in the mind, and if we relate to them skillfully by just witnessing to them, there's the discernment to not feed or to act upon them, and neither to try and push them away, to deny them, to try and distract ourselves from them. But with refuge in the awareness, we can witness to their impermanent nature, because they cease in the mind when they're not being nourished, not being fed, they're not being held onto or suppressed. Then they reveal their impermanent nature. So we don't have to feel ashamed because they're not what we really are. They're just visitors. And so gradually they lose their power over us, and over time they fade away, leaving the mind to be more free and to be radiant and peaceful, and happiness and joy can arise just quite naturally, not that we're seeking them. And we can develop a sense of ease and well-being in the ordinary. We're so conditioned to always be projecting ourselves into the future, seeing happiness as a promise for the future. When we manage to get what we want, when we get rid of what we don't want, then we'll be happy. And inevitably, this conditioning influences our approach to meditation and spiritual practice in the beginning. So now we're applying this meditation technique, hoping to to get concentrated, to get peaceful. And so there's a sense of discontent in the moment, something not being quite right, and that we have to put things in order, and we have to try and get things according to our hopes and preferences in the future. But as we experience, even when we manage to get what we want, get rid of what we don't want, there's a moment of gratification, a moment of release, of relief. And it doesn't last very long. Something changes, and then something else to try and to get hold of or get rid of. And when we pay attention to the ordinary, the here and now, because generally in the present moment things tend to be quite neutral, neither particularly pleasant or particularly unpleasant. When things are more neutral, they don't seem particularly significant, and we easily get lost in these habit patterns of wanting, not wanting, the fantasy, mental proliferation, and so forth. But we can train our attention to be more connected to the present, to the ordinary, and find access to just a natural sense of ease, of well-being, of contentment, of appreciation for what is already here and now. So the present moment might seem quite insignificant and ordinary, nothing special, but by this quality of attention we can bring to bear, we can experience this sense of appreciation, of ease and well-being. And then we, of course, we still are encouraged to reflect. And as human beings, we're subject to old age, sickness, death, separation. We can't always get what we want. Sometimes we get what we don't want. So life inevitably brings difficulties. And with meditation practice, we develop this quality of patience, bearing with, and so when we find ourselves experiencing something which is unpleasant, painful, difficult, we have these inner resources that have developed, of being able to patiently endure, to not be caught up in trying to push away, to reject what is painful, what is unpleasant, to not separate ourselves from it, but to be able to abide in this bigger picture, and a sense of connection to the body, or whatever we're feeling, the felt experience in the moment. And so we have this perspective, and taking it one moment at a time, and not getting caught up in all those habitual reactions. And we find that we can go through the difficulties in a more easeful way, a more serene way. And we don't create problems around the way things are, because the problems come from what we add on through desire and aversion of what we add on to, what we create around through habit, the resisting and proliferating and so forth. So that is very simple to understand, is not complicated, and generally in our everyday lives, when we cultivate this connected awareness and here and now, we can experience a sense of ease, of well-being, and not get caught up in unskillful mental states, allowing them to pass on their own, and to be able to pass through, to go beyond what is painful, what is difficult, without creating more suffering. And the suffering that is natural just through the changing nature of things is bearable. Whereas that we create through ignorance, through habit, is what creates the greater part of suffering that we experience as human beings. And to be able to open to uncertainty, to admit when we don't know, because life is very uncertain. The only certainty is death, and even that we usually don't know when or how. We probably hope that we'll still have a few more years left, but it's very uncertain. And to be able to admit uncertainty, instead of trying to convince ourselves of to attach to something that makes us feel secure. It's the awareness, the one that knows. The Buddha knowing is the refuge where we can be with uncertainty without getting caught into the suffering around it. It's natural that it brings a sense of discomfort, because we're so conditioned to seek out certainty and have the answers ready. One time I had the fortune to spend some time alone with Lumpur Sumedho. Well, about 13 years ago, he was staying in Italy. He spent several months in Italy, and 1 month was in our little mountain hermitage near Monte Rosa, a very beautiful setting about 2,000 meters above sea level. And I went up for a few days around his 77th birthday. And on the morning of his birthday, he was very relaxed and started to reflect a bit about his life. And he was saying how when he was young, everything seemed so black and white. He seemed to be very certain about a lot of things. He had very strong-held opinions and felt that he knew a lot of things. And then he said now in his old age, he realizes how so much is uncertain. And it was around the time at the beginning of the financial crisis. And he said, even the experts, they they have opposite opinions. Nobody really knows. And how much is uncertain in this life. And then he said, but there are two things, that I've really penetrated, and I feel I know without any trace of doubt, and that's suffering and the end of suffering. And that's enough, really. If you have that, then you can live peacefully in this realm. So that was very moving to hear him say that. And of course that's what the Buddha said many times. He said he only really taught two things: suffering and the end of suffering. And that can be understood only through direct experience. So when we do experience dukkha in some form, instead of distracting ourselves from it or trying to getting caught up in the emotional reactions of blaming somebody else and all the complications that we create around it, then we are able to be with that experience, to look beyond the superficial appearance, to really look into it. Is it solid? Is it real? Does it have a form? And so come to this understanding of the main causes of suffering is through greed and attachment due to not understanding, and then being able to let go of the causes. When we see them clearly, it becomes natural just to let go. It's not like we have to tell ourselves to let go, decide to let go. With clear seeing, it's just very natural. It happens spontaneously. And also to notice when there is no dukkha, because, as I said before, a lot of our lived experience is rather neutral. It's kind of ordinary, nothing special, and maybe because we don't really pay attention, we don't realize that actually there's no suffering there. We're just being with the way things are, and we're not adding anything on or taking anything away, and it's all right. So to notice that as well, and to come to understand what is the supporting, what are the supporting conditions for abiding in non-suffering, of not creating suffering in the moment. So we, as human beings, then we have this opportunity to awaken to reality, to the way things are, and a way that frees us from suffering. Of course, another way of saying that is by realizing authentic happiness, which is not just a momentary peak experience of when everything is going right, when we win the prize, those special moments in life that are very fleeting, but what is available here and now in the ordinary, which is a kind of natural sense of ease, of well-being, of being at peace with the way things are, and this awareness that accompanies us on every moment, so that even if we're experiencing difficulties, unpleasant, unwanted conditions, the awareness allows us to be with it without adding suffering onto it. And so that is something that we can experience and realize for ourselves is not beyond anybody. And it doesn't mean that you have to have some very high level of concentration or have remembered lots and lots of lists, and is something that we can integrate into everyday life. And so every moment is an opportunity to awaken to the way things are, to free us from delusion and all the suffering that brings. So I think I've probably harped on enough for now, and if you have any questions, I'd be happy to try and answer them.
So now let us express our joy of this Dhamma teaching. Dandamayan Dhammakataya Sadhu Karanda Dhamma Se Sadhu 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 Anumodami. Thank you so much, Ajahn. So, brothers and sisters, we'll now open the floor for questions and answers. For anyone who wishes to ask Ajahn any question, please click on the raise hand button. I will invite you to interact with Ajahn. If it's convenient for you, you may like to also turn on your video so that Ajahn can also see people and faces on screen.
Yes.
Yes. So, brothers and sisters, anyone here who would like to interact with Ajahn, feel free. We have a couple of minutes before we say thank you. Anyone here? No? Yeah. We do have someone who's kindly wrote in a very nice appreciation. I'm not sure, Ajahn, if you can read it. It just said gracias.
Yes.
I really appreciated your exposition of the Dharma in English. Like I said, it's really rare for Ajahn to speak in English and to teach in English, though he's British. But he's been teaching in Italian for years. So it was really a rare chance and a conversation that we had, and to have this opportunity to have him on this platform with us speaking in English. So we're very grateful. So
I see there is one question just arrived, I think.
Yes, that's right. Do you want me to read it out to you, Ajahn, or are you able to read it?
I can read it, actually.
Okay.
Probably be easy for me. Yes, certainly this seeing this life as an opportunity to awaken. It's like also for me, it gave me a sense of purpose and an encouragement, and like the Buddha said, to be born as a human being is very precious, because we have this reflexive awareness that although we share so much with animals, the the instincts, we can understand animals at some level because we share those same instincts. But we also have this kind of reflexive consciousness, and we can contemplate, ask ourselves these questions, and there's enough dukkha in human life to motivate us to look for a way of freeing ourselves from it. Whereas apparently in the other realms, all the suffering is so great that we just don't have a way of getting a perspective on it. Or if we're like the devas and the brahmas, everything is so pleasant and refined that dukkha is not evident. There's no motivation to do anything, and eventually the good results of our previous actions are exhausted, and then we get reborn into an inferior realm. So human life is an opportunity. We know that we're only here for a certain amount of time. So it's a bit like going to school. There are lessons that we can learn that allow us to go beyond and to not have to return to school again. If we fail, then maybe we have to begin again. Would you really want to begin this process all over again, being being a small child and then growing up? And so there's a sense of purpose, and then the suffering that we do experience is the nourishment for our wisdom. It's not wasted. It brings us to true wisdom that comes from direct experience, and is not just from grasping an idea or a thought. And so it offers these, the Buddha's teachings offers this kind of richness of skillful indications, of tools, of skillful means, of reflections that we can use in our own life. So it's not at all a matter of superstition, but it allows us to realize our true potential as human beings of being free from suffering, of being truly happy.
Thank you for the answers. Okay, I hope that answers your question. Okay. So one more question here, Tanajan. It's from someone who's tapped in a question. If I may read it out, it's a short question. It says,
Yes.
Banarajan, I don't understand the word sankara, which is used quite a lot in Buddhist teachings. Could you please elaborate on that?
Yes, sankara, it depends on the context, because it's one of the 5 khandha. You know, the Buddha talked about in his second, well, it was mentioned in the first sermon on the Four Noble Truths, is the 5 khandhas of attachment, 5 aggregates of attachment or suffering. And then in the second discourse on the characteristic of non-self, he goes into the 5 khandhas of the rupa, which is the physical form, and then the vedana, which is the felt experience, pleasant, unpleasant, neutral, and then the sanya, which is the perception, which is conditioned by our experience. So it's a kind of sense of identifying. I think it's related to the word sign. There's we perceive something, the felt experience is immediate, direct, and then what we feel, then we interpret according to our past experience. We put a label on it as being something. So that's sanya. And then what we feel and what we perceive, then we think about. So sankara is the mental activity of intending, of thinking about. It's that mental creativity. So we can, one small example is if you're walking somewhere and you sense a smell. There's a pleasant smell, and that the pleasantness is experienced immediately, and then the mind maybe goes through different labels of what it could be, and then you remember, oh yes, there's jasmine flower, jasmine, and then so that's the perception, and then you start to remember a holiday you had in this lovely place where there was a lot of jasmine, and there was wonderful food, and there was the beach, and maybe it's about time you booked another holiday, so you go into the internet to see if you can find any cheap flights, and then so sankara is like that. Is like that mental activity, especially to do with attending and intending. So that's in the context of the five khandhas, and the other one, of course, is sense consciousness. And then it's also a factor in the Paticca which is the teaching of dependent origination, which is a very detailed explanation, really, of the second and the third noble truths. So the arising of suffering from ignorance as a first factor, and how when we develop understanding, then that frees us from suffering. And so avidya, or not understanding, of being inattentive, being unaware, that conditions the activity, the mental activity. So it's partly a lot of it comes also through habits of our own individual karma. So it's that mental activity of thinking, proliferating, dwelling on, intending, which through meditation practice we learn to calm down. So does that hopefully that makes sense?
Yeah, I hope so. If not, there are actually a lot of literature. There's a lot of literature online regarding sankharas. If this person wants to reach out to Ajahn at the monastery, or any one of us, we'll be very happy to help provide these resources. I think we might have all the time that we've been given by Ajahn for this session, because I'm very conscious of meal time for Ajahn. And we'd like to perhaps call this session to a nice close, with Ajahn leading us in the recitation of two chants in English. For once, we can hear Ajahn chant in English. One is the Buddha's words on loving kindness, and the second being the verses on sharing and aspiration. So if we may have Ajahn lead us in the chant, I'll put up the words on the screen, Ajahn.
Yes, certainly. Do I have to wait for the words to appear? Ah, they're coming. Now let us chant the Buddha's words on loving kindness. This is what should be done by one who is skilled in goodness and who knows the path of peace. Let them be able and upright, straightforward and gentle in speech, humble and not conceited, contented and easily satisfied, unburdened with duties, and frugal in their ways, peaceful and calm, and wise and skillful, not proud and demanding in nature. Let them not do the slightest thing that the wise would later reprove, wishing in gladness and in safety. May all beings be at ease. Whatever living beings there may be, whether they are weak or strong, omitting none, the great or the mighty, medium, short or small, the seen and the unseen, those living near and far away, those born and to be born, may your beings be at ease. Let none deceive another or despise any being in any state. Let none through anger or ill will wish harm upon another, even as a mother protects with her life her child, her only child. So with a boundless heart should one cherish all living beings, radiating kindness over the entire world, spreading upwards to the skies and downwards to the depths, outwards and unbounded, freed from hatred and ill will, whether standing or walking, seated or lying down, free from drowsiness. One should sustain this recollection. This is said to be the sublime abiding, by not holding to fixed views, the pure-hearted one, having clarity of vision, being freed from all sense desires, is not born again into this world. Now let us chant the verses of sharing and aspiration. Through the goodness that arises from my practice, may my spiritual teachers and guides of great virtue, my mother, my father, and my relatives, the sun and the moon, and all virtuous leaders of the world, may the highest gods and evil forces, celestial beings, guardian spirits of the earth, and the Lord of death, may those who are friendly, indifferent, or hostile, may all beings receive the blessings of my life. May they soon attain the threefold bliss and realize the deathless. Through the goodness that arises from my practice, and through this act of sharing, may all cravings and attachments quickly cease, and all harmful states of mind, until I realize Nibbana. In every kind of birth, may I have an upright mind, with mindfulness and wisdom, austerity and vigor. May the forces of delusion not take hold, nor weaken my resolve. The Buddha is my excellent refuge, Unsurpassed is the protection of the Dhamma. The solitary Buddha is my noble guide. Sankara is my supreme support. Through the supreme power of all these, may darkness and illusion be dispelled. So, much appreciation for organizing this meeting, and a lot of work and commitment must have gone into organizing a whole 3 months of meetings, teachings from various Ajahns around the world. So sadhu anumodana, and wish you well in your lives, in your practice. May you realize the true peace, and may you realize Nibbana. And if you have a chance to come and visit Santajitarama, you'd be welcome. It's not far from Rome. We have a lovely monastery in the countryside, and accommodation for men and for women. You can visit our website. We have lots of photos there and some videos. And so I just say arrivederci. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ajahn. And in closing, let us all now do the closing homage and take leave from Ajahn. Sama Sambuddho Bhagava Buddham Bhagavantang Abhivadeni Swagato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhamma Namasami Subhadipano Bhagavato Sawakasangho Sangham Namami. So let us all now offer 3 respectful bows to Ajahn. For those who are meeting Ajahn for the first time, it may not be the last time. Respectfully, let us all offer Ajahn our deep appreciation as much as we receive his grace and his compassionate guidance today. First bow. Second bow. Third. Thank you so much, Ajahn, for your time and your generosity.
Okay, you're welcome. It's a pleasure.
With gratitude.
I got to get ready for my meal now.
Yes, that's right. We had to let you go. See you. Bye-bye.
Okay. Okay. Bye-bye. Bye-bye to everybody.